I'm going to be using this sponge that I got from Walmart. It's a natural sponge, and it's a really good tool to paint trees using the sponge with watercolors, acrylics, gouache. I'm looking at the sponge and I'm choosing the best textures that I think they're more random and they will look more beautifully on for painting the leaves. You can experiment and practice on a piece of paper. Just try to paint some leaves and see which patterns and textures you like the best, and choose that side to paint your leaves. I started by painting the sunlit and the lightest part of the leaves first. So this was the very watered down version of yellow and a touch of burnt sienna. And now I'm adding that slightly darker mixture, which is pure burnt sienna. The left hand side of the leaves is the sunlit part, and the right hand side that we're going to be painting soon is the shadow parts. This red color is the middle value for the leaves, so it's somewhere between the shadow and sunlit part of the leaves. But I'm also painting some of this color on the sunlit parts, but I'm trying to keep that to a minimum. So just a few touches of red would connect the shadow parts and the sunlit parts of the leaves better. I'm painting a few touches of color for leaves and detail in a little bit further back, so it's not just everything so concentrated into the foreground. But then I use a clean damp brush to soften those marks and make him a little bit softer so they sit further back compared to the ones that are super close to the foreground. And while I was softening those leaves, the ground is wet now, so I'm trying to paint some detail on the wet ground, on the wet paper, so that all the edges are soft and they basically fade into the background. I'm now mixing colors for the tree trunk. So I want to have 3 different colors for the tree trunk. The first color is the sunlit part of the tree. So I'm using burnt sienna, burnt umber, and a touch of green, just a tiny bit touch of green, so it harmonizes with all the other colors that we used in the painting. And I'm also going to mix a darker color for the shadow part of the tree trunk using burnt umber and indigo. I'm starting by painting the sunlit part of the tree using wet on dry technique. So the paper has already dried, and this is the sunlit part of the tree trunk using the same flat brush. I'm using the same mixture to paint the branches, but I realized that the branches were too dark for the for the sunlit part of the tree. So I'm dabbing it using a paper towel before they dry to lighten their value. Okay, so now it's time to add some mark making using different mixed media. You can use any medium that you have available, color pencils, pastels, pastel pencils. You can even use a very thick watercolor, like freshly squeezed watercolors, and the end of your brush, and try to make some marks like that. And because the paint is very thick, it would be opaque enough to sit on top of the already painted surface. So I'm basically just using different colors. My favorite mixed media medium is pastel pencils. I think these are by Conte Paris, are really opaque and beautiful. And of course, hot press watercolor paper is the best paper in my opinion for mixed media and mark making because of its smooth surface. So feel free to get creative, use any tools that you see around you that you can use it to make some marks and some unique texture effects. Now I moved on to using some watercolor crayons just to make some marks on the tree trunk. And I also keep reminding myself to not overdo a mark. For example, if I like a certain mark, I try not to overdo it because sometimes it's really easy to really like a color or mark and just keep repeating that on a painting, and that on its own can ruin the painting. So I'm keep moving on to different colors just to add some flavor to the painting. And this is the finished piece. I ended up really liking this simple landscape painting. We used a variety of different techniques for this painting. We started painting wet on wet. We softened the edges for the leaves on the ground, and we also used sponge to paint the leaves. And I think it was very simple, and just using this hot press watercolor paper brings me so much joy as a change to the rough surface watercolor papers that I usually use. I really hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial. Don't forget to ask me any questions in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy painting!